All right, what is going on, guys? We are back. Rest day is now over. I hope you guys got a chance to watch that video we did with showing some of the stuff with Willem Avenant Racing. We've been keeping up with him on that Decoding Dakar series. I tagged that playlist in there so you guys can find out a little bit more about what's going on, but that conversation for sure is not over. We've still got some more time left on that one, so we'll talk a little bit more about it. We're really only halfway through. Here comes the second half of the rally. And right now we're going to be talking about Stage 6. That's right, it's Stage 6 preview. And I'm starting to think David Castera and the guys that make these routes they like playing with these guys. So great rest day. Everybody catching up on some sleep, catching up on laundry. I saw a post from Jacob Argebright where they're in Isle looking for a place to do laundry. I believe it was for this stage or for this rest day. So very interesting stuff going on. I mean, all the teams get to unwind a little bit, interviews, media, back and forth, more sleep, all of that stuff. I mean, it just turns into a big, not so much of a rest day, but that's okay. The Dakar Rally organizers, they've got your back. The only thing that makes sense to follow up a perfect day of rest is a really long stage. And that is what we got going on today. So now it is no 48-hour chrono stage, but these guys are going to be putting in some miles. So today's stage number 6, a total of 829 kilometers. That is a long day in the saddle for these guys. Starting off the morning, bright and early, with this great commute of 101 kilometers, roughly 62 miles, just to get to the start of the special stage. And once they get to the start of the special stage, they're going to be faced with 605 kilometers. This is about 360 mile, about 360, 370 mile selective section or time section. That is absolutely massive of a day for stage. Then they're going to have a second road stage, second commute to get back to the bivouac, which is going to be 123 kilometers. So pretty evenly split commute to work and then the commute home, basically. They're starting out in Ail and then they're going to Adouadami for the evening. Interesting enough about today's stage, you guys can see the graphic on the screen. You've got your start, you've got your checkpoints, you got everything going on. And then if you're looking on the screen, you can see that there's this like purple and white line right across the middle of the stage. They've actually got a transfer section that they're doing, and it looks like they're just transferring across the highway. Now, transfer sections, why do they happen? What happens? What is this all about? In some cases, there are general rules. There are general areas that they may not be able to actually compete in, and they have to basically transfer out of that area into another area. And that pretty much looks like what they're doing here. Transfers are typically a timed section. In other words, we're giving you 2 hours to complete this transfer. Could be 3 hours. You know, what we're looking at here, this transfer section, I believe, is going to be about 171 kilometers for these guys. So it is a very long day, 171 kilometers to be exact, that these guys are going to be traversing. To basically, they put a pause on the clock. Everybody gets the same 2 hours added, or whatever that timing is. They all get the same time added to their clock, and then they have to clear that section. Once they get to the other end of that section, they'll start once their clock runs out, and then they're ready to go. So typically, that's how it works. And I will say that after working with the ASO organization when it was the World Championship round at Sonora Rally, these guys are precise. I mean, GPS coordinates, the signs got to be exactly where they need to be. I mean, they know to the inch in the middle of nowhere exactly where these guys need to restart. It is very impressive to see that, and talk about double and triple checking to make sure that they're spot on, that the signage is correct and all of that stuff. They had a guy dedicated. That was their job the entire rally, to make sure everything was spot on. So it's really cool to see how that functions. But anyway, so you've got your transfer in, you've got your transfer out. They're going to be traversing over what looks to be, I'm going to go ahead and say that is, they're going to be going from the west side of the highway. They're going to be headed on over to the east side of the highway, running down. That is orange. That is the service route. That is where the teams, the semis, all these guys are going to be traversing to get to the next bivouac. So 171 kilometer transfer section, and then they're going to wrap it up from 171 after those 171 at 404 to 605. So roughly 200 kilometers after that transfer section, they'll be headed out full back on race pace, making it happen. Stage breakdown. Let's take a look at that. You guys are looking at the screen. It's right in the middle Up top, asphalt 27%, dirt track 32%, sand 32%, dunes 4%, gravel stone track 5%. You got a little bit of everything in this track. And in reading over the stage preview or the stage briefing, there is, through the notes, this is really cool. They do a general description of the stage that kind of shows how these things, how the stage is broken down in kilometers. For instance, you know, K20 to K28. So for 8 kilometers, less fast section, more technical and winding, some waddy crossings and some stony areas. So it gives you a kind of a breakdown of what to expect in these areas. But there is a common word that is being used a lot in this description. Every 10, 20 kilometers, every 100 kilometers, the word fast keeps coming up. So they are planning today for a very fast stage for these guys. There are going to be some tricky sections, as that note that I just read off. They are planning on covering a lot of kilometers in a short amount of time, I'm guessing, because of how fast this is. I mean, this is probably the most I've seen the word fast pop up in a stage briefing since the beginning of the event. So I'm very curious to see what the times look like, even though this is a longer of a stage. And then having that transfer section in the middle, a little bit of a break, you know, maybe pick up on some noises if you're in the vehicle, you know, kind of take a breather. 71 kilometers, that's a long way to go. You're talking about 6 miles for every 10 kilometers. So 17 times 6, we could do that math. 100 kilometers, 62 miles, 7 times 6, 42. So somewhere in the 100 and plus miles for them to get from one section to the other. So very interesting to see how this is going to break down. Let's go back. I'm going to take a look here. Let's take a look at the timing. Right now, I am recording this. It is literally, what time are we at? It is 36 p.m. right now on the West Coast. That means it is 6:36 a.m. in Saudi at the moment. And taking a look at the graphic, if you guys are following along, looking at the bottom, it looks like first bike was off at 5:35 a.m. So that would have been a little bit over an hour ago, or two hours ago. 6:35, no, about an hour ago. So about an hour ago, first bike was off the line. The first vehicle is going to get started at 7:55 a.m. over there. That's going to be 8:55 p.m. here on the Pacific Coast. Now, again, this is with them leaving the bivouac. So this is them starting on that first commute of the day of 101 kilometers, or roughly 62 miles. So that is what they're going to be up to. And then they are expecting first bike to depart the special stage at 7:20. That is going to be 8:20 p.m. The first bike will be taking the green flag on the stage. And then 9:40 a.m. or 10:40 p.m. here on the West Coast, you will have the first vehicle leaving the start line in Saudi. So very well, these guys still got a little ways to go, a little bit of time on the clock before they get out of this commute, and then they start headed out onto the race course. So I'm curious to see. What do you guys think? Stage prediction, very fast stage. It looks like I don't know who is really going to favor this. Not a lot of dunes, but it's going to give some chance to some of these guys to stretch their legs. Hoping Mason is back 100%. Hope his eyesight is better. A little bit of a scare there with the dust and the sweat, I'm guessing, and stuff getting in his eyes, clouding his vision and really holding him back on that second part of the stage. Stage 5, I believe it was. So, or excuse me, stage 4. It was the first half of the marathon stage. You know, it's been a bit of a tough go for Mason this year. And, you know, the bike has relatively held together well. It's doing its job. There's a couple of things that they found, little details, but they were able to correct them. But unfortunately, they were correcting them after it had cost them some time. An issue with the clutch in the dunes, not making it easy, having to get pulled back by different riders, helping him out with the teammates. And that was really cool. It was other Cove riders helping him get back to the bivouac just to continue on the stage and not take that DNF, which is really awesome to see that team effort, right? You know, they technically don't have to. For those of you not familiar with the rally rules, if a rider is down and it is a medical situation and you are the first rider up, you are required to stop. It's not a choice. It's a requirement that you stop. You stop, you assist, you do as much as you can. You contact the organization, or in most cases, the organization using the ERTF unit will get an alert that the bike has stopped, and then they can call and you don't have to hit anything. It will automatically pick up. And it's basically, you've got a sat phone and you're connected directly back to France, and you have a whole team that's there handling situations and helping dispatch and do that kind of stuff. So it's a very impressive technology. I got to see it firsthand working. In particular, actually, it was with Mason. He had stopped for a quick mechanical. This was at Sonora Rally a couple of years ago, and it was really awesome to see that. So as much as we wanted to joke with him, it was all business, of course, and making it happen. So it was really cool technology. They still continue to use that to this day. And now, obviously, now they've got the electronic road books that they're wearing or using for this year's event. So we'll see how it goes. I haven't heard much more about that, but I know that there's got to be some rumblings, something going on, because you don't get electronic road books perfect the first try. Somebody mentioned it in the comments that, and I think it's very true. You know, things like the Sentinel. The Sentinel is basically a device, a proximity device that helps warn riders of other vehicles that are in the area that are getting close to them. That technology wasn't perfect when it first came out. And that is a very good point. So there are other technologies, except with this particular case, you're getting riders lost. You're getting people frustrated because of that, and it could be very detrimental, especially if it is an important stage, leading the stage, trying to make up time, whatever the situation may be. It could cost you big. So hopefully they've got something cleaned up, they've got something figured out. They're going to make this, make this push to the end, and it'll be a clean rally for everybody. Daniel Sanders out front's got a little bit of room to breathe. The vehicle's hot, contestant there, but a bit of a gap. So I don't per se see anything major going on unless we get some mechanical issues going. And well, hopefully I'm rooting for some more stage wins for both Sarah Price and Seth Quintero, getting some wins in that T1 plus category, the ultimate category. So we'll see what happens. What do you guys think? What are your guys' predictions? Drop them in the comments below. I think it's going to be a good one. So these guys are getting ready to get started. We're going to cut it off here, and we'll get this uploaded. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all of that fun stuff. This morning, I didn't get a chance. I ran out of time and had to split for work. I got a video talking a little bit of the Malamoto guys. I'm going to try and edit that, finish it up, and then get it uploaded so you guys can see that. If you guys are not familiar with Malamoto or the originals by Motul, you'll know a little bit more about it after that video. So stay tuned. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to make sure you get that alert when that stuff comes through. And hey, as usual, if you're watching this on Spotify podcast, the video podcast, welcome. If this is your first show that you watch with us, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do that stuff there as well. And then, hey, I have not forgotten about all our OGs. The Chasing Waypoints podcast started a few years back. We're well into and almost at 300 total episodes for this program, and I am kind of stoked about that. But for you guys listening on the audio-only side of it, haven't forgotten about you guys. Don't forget, you can always send me a direct message on Instagram. I'll do my best to get through them. Remember, sometimes it gets thrown into the message requests and I don't know, a bunch of stuff. Maybe it's not necessarily conducive to that. But anyway, that's enough rambling. It is time to get to work. Hope everybody's having a good evening. We will see you guys tomorrow morning for the results show. And don't forget, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride.